How can an escalator run all day, with dozens of steps looping around, and somehow they never tangle, never crash into each other, and never jam? Because if you really think about it, it looks impossible. The steps disappear into the floor, then come right back out. Perfectly spaced. Perfectly flat. Every single time. And if even one step twisted sideways inside the machine, the whole thing would turn into a loud metal traffic accident. Welcome to the Smart Side. My channel is all about learning how everyday things actually work. So today, I'll show you the simple engineering trick that keeps escalator steps aligned. The hidden track system, the chain that pulls everything, and the one clever detail that makes tangling basically impossible. First, here's the most important thing to know. Escalator steps don't move on their own. They're all connected in one big loop, being pulled around by a moving chain, kind of like a tank tread, but way more controlled. But here's the problem. A tank tread can bend and twist however it needs to. Escalator steps can't. They have to stay flat where you stand, then fold away neatly when they go inside the machine, and then come back out flat again. So how do they pull that off without steps, drifting sideways, rotating, or getting out of order? The secret is surprisingly simple. Each escalator step has wheels underneath it, 2 sets of wheels, and those wheels ride on 2 different tracks. One track controls the front wheels. The other track controls the back wheels. And the shape of those tracks is what forces every step to stay in the correct position the entire time. Here's the easiest way to picture it. Imagine you're holding a small tray with 2 hands. If both hands stay level, the tray stays flat. But if one hand dips while the other rises, the tray tilts. Escalator tracks do that same 2-hand control, but with wheels instead of hands. When the step is out in the open, where people stand, the tracks are positioned so the steps naturally form a staircase, flat, level, and evenly spaced. Then, as the steps approach the top or bottom, the tracks slowly change shape. One set of wheels gets guided inward and downward, and the other set follows a slightly different path. That difference is what makes each step fold up and nest into the next step as it goes into the machine. And that nesting is important. Inside the escalator, the steps aren't spread out like stairs anymore. They're packed tightly together, moving like a continuous loop. So the steps don't decide where to go. The tracks force them into the right position. Now you might wonder, okay, but what keeps the spacing perfect? That's the job of the chain. Underneath the steps, there's a continuous chain loop, like a bicycle chain, but heavy duty. The motor turns a big gear that pulls the chain, and the chain pulls every step. Because each step is attached at a fixed point on that chain, the distance between steps is basically locked in. So even when the steps fold up inside the machine, they don't get closer or farther from each other randomly, because the chain won't allow it. Now let's hit the main question. Why don't they tangle? Tangles happen when parts can drift sideways, rotate freely, or cross paths. Escalator steps can't do any of that. Their wheels are trapped inside the tracks, so every step can only travel along one specific path, forward, around the loop, and back out again. No sideways drifting, no spinning around, no step cutting in front of another step. In a weird way, an escalator is less like a moving staircase and more like a train. Each step is like a train car locked onto rails. It can't leave the rails, and it can't change the route. That's also why escalators feel smooth when they're working properly. The track shape is designed to make the step's movement gradual, so the step doesn't suddenly drop or jerk when it disappears into the floor. Now, there are a couple more details that make escalators safer and more reliable. Those comb plates at the top and bottom, the pieces with little teeth, are there to guide shoes and small objects away from gaps as the steps flatten out. And inside the machine, Escalators have safety systems that detect unusual resistance. Basically, if something doesn't feel right, the escalator can shut down before damage gets worse. So, here's the simple answer to the original question. Escalators never tangle their steps because the steps are mechanically trapped and guided the entire time. Two sets of wheels ride on two tracks that force each step to stay aligned. A chain keeps the spacing consistent, and the track geometry makes the steps fold away smoothly, then come back out perfectly flat, over and over again. Next time you're on an escalator, look at the top for a second, right where the steps disappear. You're watching a quiet little transformation happening in real time. Staircase to nested stack and back again, non-stop. If you enjoyed this and learned something new, I'd really appreciate it if you hit like and subscribe. It means a lot to me and to my channel, and it genuinely helps the smart side reach more curious people like you.